Welcome to Talkin Dawgs live here on YouTube. Why's my hat crooked like that? I don't know. Kind of weird. Robbie Falk here on 3, Maroon and White Daily, Starkville Daily News, Thunder and Lightning Podcast, here for another Talkin Dawgs. I can't remember the last time we did this. This might be our first one of the year. They all run together, so I apologize. But whether it's the first time or whatever, I appreciate you guys being along for the ride. As always, we're going to talk a lot of Mississippi State sports on this YouTube live. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to, and we'll run it a good bit. I mean, we don't have a time limit on this thing. We kind of run this thing how we feel it. So get your questions and comments and all that stuff in, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. What I always like to do is I like to kind of give a little diatribe from myself a little bit just to kind of update where things are in certain sports and kind of give a little rundown of what we saw coming into today, things like that. I like to do that first and foremost, and then we get into the questions. So, there's a lot of people that will come and go here on this thing, and we'll just run along with it. First of all, I want to remind you guys, as I always do, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. Very easy process. Go click the subscribe button. Cost you nothing. All it does is notify you whenever I have videos that are coming out, when I'm going live, all that stuff. You'll get those notifications. You won't miss a single one of these videos, press conferences, whatever. They go into your email or your notifications on your app immediately when they're posted. You won't miss any of it, and I appreciate that first and foremost. And I also appreciate you guys subscribing to Maroon and White Daily. I know you are. I know that you've already subscribed to Maroon and White Daily. If you haven't, I'm not going to judge you just yet, but I'm very disappointed. And the way for you to make that up to me is to go to maroonandwhitedaily.com right now before we even start this thing. Go sign up. Join us today. I believe first week is like $1 or something like that. Go sign up. You're not going to be upset about it at all. It's worth it. You're going to love being involved with Mississippi State fans on our message board. We have one of the top message boards in our entire network. And in my opinion, I've been on all the message boards that Mississippi State offers over the last 20 years. I've been on them all. Our message board, in my opinion, has the best group, the most knowledgeable Mississippi State fans on the internet. And we keep people up to date. Those guys are on top of things. It's a great group, a great community. It's a family. And we would love for you to be a part of it. So come check us out today, maroonandwhitedaily.com. The source for Mississippi State sports and the best, absolute best message board out there. Come check us out right now. All right, let's get down to it. Mississippi State basketball is in the heat of SEC season. We are now 2 weeks in. Things are really starting to ramp up for both the men and the women. There's been a lot of excitement around both of these teams from the very beginning, but I think that's even growing now for Sam Purcell and Chris Jan's teams. And both of them, they sit here about the same. The men have started the SEC schedule 2-1. They started 2-0. They had a chance to go 3-0 in SEC play for the first time, I think, since 2009. Came up just short on Saturday night in yet another heartbreaker against Kentucky, 95-90. This is the 13th time Mississippi State has lost to Kentucky by single digits in the last 16 seasons. 13 times they've lost by single digits. They've lost 20 ball games in the last 21, and 13 of those are by single digits. What Mississippi State is doing or not doing against Kentucky should be studied. The fact that this team cannot find a way to grab one win in the regular season since 2009, I believe it was, the fact that they have not been able to grab one during that time frame is baffling. That in itself is baffling. But when you add into the fact that almost all of these games are playing out the same way, it's really hard to believe. It's transcended coaches now. John Calipari was the coach at Kentucky during most of that stretch. But for Mississippi State, it's been Rick Stansbury, Rick Ray, Ben Howland, and now Chris Jans. 4 different coaches. Not a single one of them has been able to beat Kentucky in the regular season. The only win came in 2021 in the SEC tournament from Ben Howland. 3 overtime games during that stretch. We've had Mississippi State winning in the second half of a lot of those ball games. We've had Mississippi State on the verge of winning those games. They can't do it. They cannot get over the hump. And it's just it's very frustrating for this fan base. I know you continue to pack out the hump for this ball game. You continue to get on the edge of your seat waiting for a win, and the Bulldogs just can't do it. And this one, it played out very similarly to the ones we've seen during this stretch of games. State comes out in the first half. They got a lead in the first half. And then Kentucky kind of took it over. State closed it to a 2-point game in the final seconds on a 4-point play by Josh Hubbard. And then they give up a 3-pointer at the buzzer. And that first half was just really the second half too. The 3-point shooting by Kentucky was you just kind of shake your head. 16 of 32 in the game. They shot 53% in the second half from 3-point range. They were 8 of 15, 50% for the game, 56% from the field in the ball game for Kentucky, and they shot 58 in the second half. State just could not get the stops they needed to get, and that was killer. I thought the fight in the team, the effort that they put in this ball game was admirable. Mississippi State fought to the very end. They couldn't get the shots when they needed them, or they couldn't get the stops. It was either or. And that's what makes me believe it's just fate that Mississippi State just can't find a way to win these games against Kentucky. And it doesn't matter how good the team is, how bad Kentucky is by their standards. State has just really struggled to win that ball game. So it's a tough loss for MSU. I thought Cam Matthews, to me, might have played, and numbers-wise, it was really impressive, but it might not have been his best game numbers-wise. You could make an argument for it, but it was certainly, to me, the best game he's ever played at Mississippi State. That's just my opinion on it. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 6 steals, 3 assists. It was an unbelievable effort by Cameron Matthews. When State was kind of digging itself in a hole, especially in the second half, I think they got it down by 14 in the second half. Cam Matthews put the team on his back and really, while he didn't score every point during that stretch or get every rebound or whatever, I think he started the whole deal for the Bulldogs to get them back in it, ultimately giving them the lead. They got hot from 3 midway through the second half. Ended up shooting 37% from long range in the second half. They had to shoot 24 3-pointers just to try to climb back in the game. They finished 12 of 40. It was a tough night from 3, but they did hit 12 of them. And that really kind of kept them in the game. But too many things working against State in this ballgame. They got in foul trouble. Josh Hubbard had 3 fouls in the first half, I believe. Keyshawn Murphy had 3 fouls. Michael Nwoku had 3 fouls. They couldn't stay out of foul trouble. And then I thought Riley Kugel was going to have a really good game. He scored 8 points in just 7 minutes. He was kind of – it looked like to me he was really going to have a good game. It totally different mindset, totally different look to him than he had against Vanderbilt. This could have been a ball game that I think he scores 20-plus points in. He had, like I said, 8 points in 7 minutes, 3 of 5 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. Had a block shot. But he goes down, went up for a block. I think it was on Amari Williams that was going up to try to score in the post. He left his feet, comes down on Amari Williams, and he falls to the ground, landed on his finger, dislocated his finger. I think that was a devastating loss for Mississippi State during the game. He ended up leaving the first half, going to the locker room. The television announcers, we were told, reported that he was not going to return. So we reported that as well. We never got official word from Mississippi State on it. But he was not supposed to return to the ball game. He ends up coming back in the second half. I think he actually hit a 3-pointer in the second half. And then I think he turned his ankle, and he had to come out of the ball game. Losing Riley Kugel, Josh Hubbard didn't have a great game, foul trouble. That did not help matters for Mississippi State. Now, Kentucky played lights out. They played really good basketball, shot the ball extremely well. Their offensive possessions were extremely efficient. And when you're scoring almost 100 points, it's very difficult to lose the ball game. State was kind of fighting uphill the whole game because Kentucky had the ability to play their style of play from start to finish. That was really a problem for the Bulldogs. So tough loss for Mississippi State, but this is a long season ahead. And MSU is now 14-2, 2-1 in the SEC play. They're still in great shape. They just have to win ball games here in SEC play. Every conference game matters. That is my motto this year for both the men and the women. Every single win matters, probably more than ever, because you look back at some teams at Mississippi State, they've won 11, 12 games in SEC play. They've been borderline, tournament teams, or they've been, 8, 9 seeds or whatever in the NCAA tournament. If this team won 12 games, they have a chance to win the league first and foremost, and it's probably a 1 or a 2 seed. That's how good the SEC is this year. That's how good Mississippi State's resume is right now. But the whole thing, it goes back to winning games, being close or having a high net or whatever. That's going to be nice, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to win games down the stretch. So that's what Mississippi State's looking at here in what is about to be an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. You follow up Kentucky on Tuesday going to Auburn, the number 1 team in the country. Now, Auburn's going to be without Janai Broome, and that is an interesting it's not even a side note to this. It's a big storyline in this ball game. That's an interesting thing to watch, how Auburn handles life without Janai Broome, knowing he's not going to play. Janai Broome is an NCAA Player of the Year candidate. He is SEC Player of the Year front runner. 18 points a game, over 10 rebounds a ball game. He's a walking double-double. He's good on both sides of the court. He can step out there and shoot a 3 if they need him to. He can face up the basket, get to the rim, hit the mid-range. He can put his back to the basket and take you to school. He is the total package in the post. And Mississippi State will not have to face him on Tuesday. So the question is, first of all, will Riley Kugel be there for the Bulldogs? We'll see. And then secondly, how does Auburn handle that? How does Mississippi State handle the most raucous environment they've been in this year? Been on the road to SMU and gotten a win. They've been on the road at Memphis and gotten a win. Those are 2 big wins on the road. This is a different animal, literally. This is the jungle. This is Auburn. This has become one of the toughest places to play in college basketball and in the SEC. It wasn't always that way. Bruce Pearl has changed things there. This is a fan base that has grown to love and eat and breathe and sleep basketball. So that's certainly going to be a challenge for Mississippi State. They are, I think, 7.5-point underdogs, which is a fair I think that's a fair spread. But without Janai Broome, I don't know. It feels kind of high, but Auburn could also blow Mississippi State out of the gym with what they can do. So we'll see what transpires with that. It's going to be a tough one for Mississippi State. Auburn has a lot of other pieces. They have more pieces than Mississippi State even, I would say. I think they had 5 or 6 guys in double digits scoring per game. So that is going to be a major, major obstacle for Mississippi State. But I will say I think their chances have greatly improved. I would have set it at 5% or something with Janai Broome. I think they've greatly improved with Broome out of the ball game, but I think Auburn's certainly capable of beating a top 15 team, top 15 caliber team like Mississippi State at home without their best player. That's how good that roster is. And Mississippi State needs to be pretty much at full strength with the exception of Kanye Clary. And we'll talk about him a little bit because I know we have some questions in here about him. And I think Kugel you need him back. You need him playing well. You need everybody hitting on all cylinders, and you're going to have to play a great ball game to win this. One loss this season for Auburn, it came at Duke, which is a very difficult place to win, as you know. So, we'll see. 6 p.m. on SEC Network Tuesday night. It feels like that game should be on a national network, but State is getting back-to-back national broadcasts. Ole Miss comes in on Saturday. It's a ranked Ole Miss team that's going to be coming to the home. Back-to-back ranked home matchups. It's actually going to be 3 straight when Alabama comes to town. But another tough ball game for Mississippi State on Saturday, coming up at 5 on ESPN2. Then you go to Knoxville to take on a Tennessee team that was just number 1 in the country. They're still a top 10 team. That's 6 p.m. next Tuesday. And then you'll play at Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday. A little bit of a reprieve there, but winning on the road is always tough. And then you come home and play another top 5 team in Alabama. State is about to play 4 top 10 teams in 6 games and 5 top 25 teams in 7 games. That is brutal for Mississippi State. But, it's life in the SEC. Everybody's got that situation going on right now. So it's going to be a challenge. Real quick for the women, now 15-3 on the season, 2-2 in conference play. They've gotten back-to-back big wins. They lost by 20-plus to Kentucky and South Carolina. Disappointing efforts, but 2 top 15 teams there in Kentucky and South Carolina. I think Kentucky has a chance to move into the top 10. They're really talented. And South Carolina looks like a national championship contender yet again. And you let those games really slip away. So 2 disappointing efforts there, but I like the bounce back from this team. Sam Purcell taking on a top 10 Oklahoma team at home last week. Mississippi State comes out on top in that one. Huge win over Oklahoma, who's still in the top 15 this week, 81-77, the second top 10 win for Sam Purcell in the last 2 seasons. And just when you start to doubt Sam, he seems to find a way to lure you back in. And I think that's what's happening here. You go on the road to Georgia, didn't play great, but again, just like the men, any win you can get on the road in the SEC is a major steal. Georgia plays frustrating defense. They like to play the zone defense, but they'll mix and match it a little bit, and they'll frustrate you. And they've really frustrated Mississippi State the last 3 years. And in this one, they basically dared Mississippi State to beat them from the outside, and that's exactly what happened. Bulldogs of Mississippi State hit 14 3-pointers in this game. They shot nearly 50% from long range. It was almost like what Kentucky did to Mississippi State, and you could see the frustration on the Georgia players and their coaches' face because I think the game plan was the right game plan. You stopped dribble penetration from Anaya Russell and Jerkayla Jordan. You stopped a lot of the low post play from Medina Okot, and Mississippi State was just absolutely shooting the eyeballs out of it. Now, when they went man, I thought it was a good job by Mississippi State to recognize it and go to Medina Okot a little more. And she really turned it on there in the second half. I think she had 4 or 6 points in the first half. She finished the ball game with 19 in 28 minutes. This might be the most she's played in SEC play, 28 minutes. The first 2 ball games really struggled to stay out of foul trouble and kind of keep her composure. We're really starting to see her progress a little more. 19 points, 12 rebounds in the game. I thought she was really impressive. Anaya Russell was fantastic. She played all but 2 minutes in the game. 21 points, a season-high 4 3-pointers. She was 4 for 9 from 3, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. She was great. Jerkayla Jordan also 11 points in the game, just 3 of 10, but played really hard, 7 rebounds for her. Mississippi State just did a better job down the stretch of this game and got real close. They had pushed the lead out, I think, to maybe 15 points. It got close in this game, got down to 4 in the fourth quarter, and State didn't allow another point in the final 2.5 minutes. So good win here for the Bulldogs of Mississippi State to move to 2-2, 15-3 now. And they have a tough schedule coming up here. Tennessee, top 15 team, coming up on Thursday at Knoxville, 6 p.m. And then you host Ole Miss on Sunday. That's a team borderline top 25. They just got beat by Alabama. You have a chance to really push Ole Miss down the pecking order on Sunday and also improve your standing. And then you have some really winnable games the next week with Auburn at home and going to Missouri. So you have a chance here, especially, I don't know about Tennessee. That's going to be a tough one. But the next 3 games after that, if you can get wins there, you have really set yourself up nicely. Auburn, Ole Miss, Ole Miss and Auburn at home, and then Missouri. Those are winnable games. If you go 3-0 during that stretch, you get to 5-3 in league play. You're really looking for, I think, 3 more SEC wins guarantees you a spot in the NCAA tournament. I think, 7 would be borderline too. And you got Arkansas, very winnable. Alabama's a tough team. That's at home. We'll see what happens there. Vanderbilt and Nashville, they got destroyed by Ole Miss. I don't really know what they are. Florida and Gainesville, they're hit or miss. You get A&M at home. The back half of the schedule is very winnable, but it was last year too. So that's the issue here for Mississippi State. They've got to go a different direction than where they were last season, because that was just a terrible finish for this team, and they had winnable games. So that is the women and the men. 15-3 for the women, 14-2 for the men. Great start for both of these teams. The men are in the top 25. The women are receiving votes. One win this week might push the women in. So it's been a great basketball season so far. All right, so enough of that. We will get into the questions and comments now. So if you guys want to put those questions and comments in the chat box, we'll get to it. We'll start with MSU Bulldog fan. Is Kanye Clary out for good, or is he coming back? Also, an update on Riley Kugel. I'm making an official declaration here, and this is for everyone listening. Everybody needs to just expect that Kanye Clary is no longer going to play for Mississippi State this season. I don't expect him back. If he does come back, we are all pleasantly surprised, but I'm not expecting it. So I think that's the way to approach it. If Kanye Clary returns, it's great for Mississippi State, but you have to go into every ball game expecting him not to return. So I understand the people that are constantly updating Kanye Clary being on the availability report, all that stuff. I've kind of just moved past even paying attention to it. I think you can just right now chalk it up. He is not going to play for Mississippi State until further notice. We have nothing official on it. I don't expect anything official on it from Chris Jans. He's given us pretty much the same comment on it every time. Just expect that Kanye Clary is not going to play. Be pleasantly surprised if he does. On Kugel, I don't really know. I have no clue. We haven't been given an update on him. He's been back. He's been in the gym shooting around from what we've seen on social media. He was walking around fine, had a noticeable limp after the game the other night, but I don't know if that's going to keep him out long term. I don't think the finger will keep him out. He came back in the second half, looked like he was handling that fine. If something keeps him out, it would probably be the ankle, but remains to be seen. The good news is these guys have treatment every single day. They're getting the best treatment they can get. So he's going to be as ready as he possibly can if he does play on Tuesday night. And they need him. They really need him to play. Kobe, what's up, man? I think baseball is going to be pretty good this year. What is going to be our strength? The most noticeable thing to me is the offense. We'll see on pitching. I thought pitching was their strength last year, and going in, we had no reason to be really optimistic. We thought they were going to be better, but Justin Parker, just blew it out of the water with what he was able to do with Mississippi State's pitching staff last year. Now, I feel like they have pieces this year, but I just can't point to one thing right now on the pitching staff that I feel great about. I like some of the pieces, but I don't know what they're going to do at the starting positions. I don't know who's going to be their closer. I don't know who's going to be their long relief pitcher. I just think they have a lot of good pitchers, and I have faith that Justin Parker is going to be able to get those guys in the right spot and to have the right three on the weekend. I just don't know who they are yet. So I can't really point to that being the strength on this team. I think the offense is going to be the strength. And it's not going to be just power. It's not going to be just, average. I think they're going to be a tougher lineup to get through than they were a season ago. This was a lineup that struck out a ton. And especially late in the season, you had that rut that you went through with Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines, and they just could not climb out of it. I thought Dakota did a pretty good job late in the season in the SEC tournament and then in the regionals, but we just didn't see it consistently. This team has the ability, I think, to go up there and give a quality at bat, mostly 1 through 9, and it's going to be a deeper lineup than it was last year. How many times do we sit around saying, who is going to replace Hunter Hines or Dakota Jordan if you have them sit? You couldn't take them out of the lineup. There was nobody to put in there to replace them. I think this year you have those options. You have the ability, if somebody's really struggling, take them out of the lineup, let them sit a little bit, and put somebody in there that's equal, or you don't see a huge drop off when they are out of the ball game. That is, to me, what's going to be the biggest thing. And I think strikeouts will be down. I think walks will be up. And I think you'll have more guys in the lineup that can hit for power than we've seen the last couple of years. And you're not just relying on Connor Hyzak or Hunter Hines or Dakota Jordan. I think you're going to have more options there. I like this lineup a lot. Austin Kraft and need Thunder and Lightning to go live after every loss. It wouldn't have been a good. It wouldn't have been a good show the other night. I didn't have a lot of negative things to say about Mississippi State in that game. It was just kind of like it was the same movie that we've seen, and it just was kind of frustrating. Is really what it boiled down to. Kobe, how many SEC games do you think we can win? I think State can win 9 or 10. I think that's my prediction is they're going to win 9 or 10. Now, how many can they win? I think they can run it up to 11 or so, 11, maybe 12. Let's just go through the schedule. My predictions right now, just on the surface, I think they'll lose to Auburn. I think they'll beat Ole Miss. I'll predict a loss to Tennessee. That they'll beat South Carolina. Alabama, they've really struggled against Alabama. I'll give Alabama the benefit there. I think they'll beat Missouri. I think they can beat Georgia. Florida at home is going to be tough, but I'll just say I think they beat either Florida or Alabama at home. I think they can win one of those two. Ole Miss on the road, this series is going back and forth. The home team usually gets the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if I want to predict a sweep. Let's just give Ole Miss, just for the sake of what we've seen, we'll give Ole Miss a win there. I think they beat Texas A&M at home. I think they beat Oklahoma at home. I think they lose at Alabama. I think they beat LSU. I think they beat Texas. And then Arkansas. Arkansas, that's going to be a tough place to play. They are not playing well. They have a chance, though, to get it together. This is not a team I would want to play late in the season. They can get it together. Right now, I said 11 wins is my prediction. And that might be a little optimistic, but I predicted Ole Miss to win on the road. I predicted one loss against Florida or Alabama. So I'll say State wins. I'll kind of even it out a little bit. I'll say 10. I'll say 10 wins. And that would be a fantastic year. And if you win 10 wins in this league, if State finishes with 10 wins, that's probably a 2 or a 3 seed this year. Bryce Hall, any idea why the team started shooting so many threes before the game got out of hand? We had an 11-point lead and just started shooting sloppy. which let Kentucky get going. I don't think that they had an 11-point lead in this game. Did they lead by 11? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know I don't know about that question, Bryce. But if you're talking about the Kentucky game the other night and why they start shooting so many threes, the the fact they started shooting on threes, I thought played into what Kentucky was doing offensively. I think Kentucky having the success they did offensively put pressure on Mississippi State, and also that's what their defense dictated. They were kind of eliminating Mississippi State getting to the rim. They didn't allow a whole lot of paint touches. I think State kind of just felt comfortable out there. They were open a lot. They had a lot of good looks, and they felt like they could knock them down. And they weren't answering those 3-pointers until the second half when they were able to hit 9 of them. So that I think that's how it played out. A lot of times, what the other team's doing offensively dictates what you do. That's playing, out of your element. That's kind of playing into what the other team's doing. Happens sometimes with Mississippi State too. If they're having success on offense, the other team feels like they have to make up ground. I think South Carolina probably did that a little bit. I know Memphis did it, and Mississippi State sped them up, and they never were able to, stay in the ball game. It felt like so that's what happened with State for sure. I think. Tom T, why does it feel like that? Why does it feel that when people play us, they have a players, they have the game of their lives? It has happened a lot. It happens at the hump a lot. Kobe, I thought the crowd was awesome. Yeah, Mississippi State fans, when they are invested in basketball, they make the hump a very, very difficult place to play. Um, and a lot of Kentucky fans were in my mentions talking about how State just shows up for that game. That hasn't really been the case. The hump has been getting back to normal a lot in the last couple of years. I think they've really begun to make the hump a tough place again, and it's been a while. I thought even that towards the end of Rick Stansbury's tenure, even though there was people there, they had kind of lost how to make it an intimidating atmosphere. Students were sitting down the whole time. The hump has not been the hump since probably 2009, 2010. That might have been the last time the hump was truly consistently the hump. I think they're getting back to that. I think State fans are investing in it. I think the students, this era of students, are starting to really invest in basketball too, and they're making it a very tough place to play. And that's what we saw on Saturday. I think that we're going to see that again next Saturday or this Saturday against Ole Miss. I think it'll be another intimidating atmosphere, great atmosphere for college basketball. And it was great to have that on national television the other night so people can see it again. I think people forget the hump is a very tough place to play. It's one of them. And I think it was some of our Kentucky folks that were here from On 3 that said this might be the toughest environment in the league. A lot of people talk about Auburn. A lot of people talk about, Bud Walton at Arkansas. The hump is different than those places. I think Bud Walton is an intimidating atmosphere. Rupp Arena is an intimidating atmosphere because of the sheer size of it, the people, the mass of people that are there. The hump is loud. The fans are right on top of you. The acoustics in the arena since the early 2000s have really changed how the sound is protruded there. And that's why, a lot of people wanted the hump to be torn down and create a brand new arena and have kind of a world-class arena. I don't think that's something that Mississippi State should do. They have a perfectly good arena, a perfectly intimidating atmosphere, and something that you can't really recreate. I mean, it just happened organically. So I think that is the thing that makes Mississippi State basketball and its atmosphere so special is that arena. You can have a nice arena and really impress some people, but to me, you cannot sacrifice the home court advantage that you get with Humphrey Coliseum when it's like that. Jay in Baltimore, Ohio State minus 8.5. Ooh, on Monday night. What's your bet? Ooh, that's high for a national championship game. And Notre Dame's been playing pretty well, but I do think Ohio's. I'm probably going to come under that. I think that's. I think that's probably going to be a little high. I think it's going to be a close game, but I would take Ohio State. Um, I just think they're the most talented team in the country, and they're finally realizing it. You know, they stubbed their toe against Michigan every year now. So I mean, Ryan Day's really struggling to beat Michigan, and this is a down year for Michigan, and they lost to them. But down the stretch here, they have been the most impressive team in the playoff, without a doubt. Notre Dame's been the second most impressive team. So these are the two best teams in the country right now. I don't think there's any question about it. But I'm probably going to take Ohio State to win. I don't know if they get to 8.5, but all it takes is a touchdown and a field goal. So I guess that's not too out of the question. Dark Steel with the women hitting 14 threes against Georgia. Do you see them taking a little more threes than usual? I wouldn't rely on it. I think for yesterday's game, it was a necessity. You had good looks, need to knock them down. You did that. So I think that is certainly what you needed to see yesterday. I would not just come out there chunking it up just because you did that. But they show they're capable of it. I don't know if they can consistently do something like that. This hasn't been a great three-point shooting team. DeBrisha Poe is a great three-point shooter. Destiny McFall is proving to be a really good three-point shooter. We just haven't seen it from everybody else yet. We did see it yesterday, and Nia Russell had a good game. We'll see what they do. Bassin and duck hunting. Heard Kanye Clary might be healthy, but is choosing not to play because he wasn't happy with how he'd be used or something between him and Jans. Have you heard anything? That's been said a lot, and it's certainly a theory, and it's happened in college basketball. It happens in college football. It happens in college sports. I think we saw that with Creed Whittemore this year. I don't think there's any question that he's sat out because he wasn't happy with how he's been used. And this, what I'm going to say, might sound contradictory because we saw it with Creed, but I just don't think that Chris Jans would let Kanye stay on the bench, stay with the team, keep practicing, keep spending time with the team with his teammates if that was the case. I've heard from other sources too that he really is injured. So I haven't heard anything from the people that I talk to that suggests that that's the case. But I get where that rumor's coming from, and like I said, it's happening in college sports. It has happened here. And Jeff Lebby allowed Creed Whittemore to continue to practice, stand on the sidelines. As far as I know, wasn't a distraction or anything, but he allowed Creed Whittemore to stay with the team. I don't know if Chris Jans would do that. I don't know if he would sign up for Kanye just to sit on the bench and continue to be around the team in that facet. But I could be wrong. I don't know if that would be the case. Blake Montgomery, the football media team, just cooked. I was scrolling just a little bit, and I saw that. That video, first glance, looks awesome. By the way, the hires that they're making for football are going to pay dividends. I've been saying that for the last week or so. Brady Kiker, who was with Mississippi State Video. I think he was like the creator, the guy that was ahead of it all. He has done a lot of things within the athletic department, video wise, basketball, football, baseball over the years. He's been doing baseball full time. And if you look at the content last year in baseball, it has been phenomenal. That's Brady doing that. This year, dipped into basketball after our guy Mo left for Auburn and was putting out some fire content for basketball. Now he has been hired for Jeff Levy's staff to focus 100% on football. That again, that is going to pay off dividends. The football content they put out is going to be light years ahead. No disrespect to the people that were here last year, but the content is just not even on the same planet. What Brady produces, he is one of the best. On top of that, John Sweeney, who has been doing graphics since he was in high school, he's been with Mississippi State for a long time. Most of the great graphics that you see coming out for the athletic department are John's work. He's been hired also for the football staff. And also our friend Lance Pardue, who has worked in media relations. He's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't see. He's been with media relations since he was a student. I've been around him a lot. Great guy, hard worker. He's been hired also for some creative content. So 3 really great hires within the department that are already here, moving to football only. I think that's going to be huge for Jeff Levy and his staff, because they were just the last staff. And again, I don't want to bash them because I have friends on that staff and I have friends that did very good work that I feel like should still be here. But the content just wasn't up to snuff among the SEC peers. And I think what you had to do, this is your moneymaker, you had to get a staff in here that's going to be able to stay at a level that you need to have in this league to kind of keep pace. This group's going to be able to do it. They're putting out great graphics, great videos within a week of being on the job. I think Jeff Levy and his staff are going to be very content with what they see there. I think State fans are going to be content. I think they're going to get a lot of eyeballs on Mississippi State. So, yeah, I'll have to go watch that video here shortly. I'm sure it's great. MSU Bulldog fan, over 9,000 people in the hump against Kentucky. Didn't know we could fit that much people. Yeah, it could. I don't know where it is now in capacity. Whenever you consider the media is taking up an entire section for some reason up there in the upper deck. So I don't know what the capacity is right now. It was over 10,000, I think. They got 9,500 or close to it the other night. So you can get over 9,000 in there, and they'll have a chance to do it the next 3 home games at least. Ole Miss, Alabama coming up, and then you had Kentucky. After the Bama game, they play Missouri and Starkville. I don't know if that'll have quite the crowd, but every home game from here on out should have a great crowd at it. Florida and Starkville is going to be a madhouse. Texas A&M probably going to be a top 25 team still when they get here. Great crowd for that. LSU always brings a great crowd of Bulldog fans. Texas, that's the first time you'll play Texas in the hump, so that should be great too. Every game, I think, is going to be packed. Day 12 Mai. I don't know what that means, but is that a Collegian shirt? Yes, it is. ECCC Collegians. Myself and Randy Hauser are Collegian alums. Had a great time doing that with the man, the myth, the legend, one of my heroes, Tom Carson. Any more questions, guys? Get your questions, your comments in. Trying to think what we got coming up this week. The Auburn men's game, as we mentioned, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. SEC Network. The women will play Thursday at Tennessee. The men play Saturday against Ole Miss. The women play Sunday against Ole Miss. So it's a busy week and a big week for both teams. So make sure that you're locked in. Ellen Goodman, congratulations on your latest honor. Well deserved. You've especially been a supporter of women's sports. I appreciate it, Ellen. Very blessed for that honor. Very thankful. Hardy was in collegians. He was not. I believe he tried out. I could be wrong. I played drums. We were on the drum line together at EC in 2009. 2009. We were on the drum line together. He played the bass drum. I played the drum set. And then I played drums for collegians. I want to say he tried out for collegians, but I can't remember 100%. Any new DBs to look for? Well, they have one that they're getting set to bring in on a visit, a junior college cornerback, Jaden Lawton. And you can read about him on our website right now. Paul Jones had a story with him yesterday. Kid from Tyler Junior College. He's in SMU, bounced back, visited UNLV, or is going to visit UNLV, and then he'll be here next week for a visit as well. So that looks to be where they're putting their biggest target on as far as cornerbacks. Jay in Baltimore, Aiden Williams' strengths and weaknesses. His strengths, I think, is his fluidity at that position on the outside. He's a really fluid athlete, really good route runner, great hands, can win in traffic. Weaknesses, I think, is probably, lack of playing time, just doesn't have a lot of experience being a guy that's getting a lot of targets. And the comments that came out from Ole Miss people, and I don't know how true it is that he struggled with the playbook. Now we'll find out if that's true or not whenever he comes to Starkville, because the playbook's not all that different between Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby. I don't think their offenses are drastically different, especially from a concept standpoint. I just don't think that it's a lot's going to change. So we'll find out. But I think Aiden has a chance to break out at Mississippi State. There's a lot of opportunity here that he didn't get at Ole Miss because there's just a logjam of really talented receivers there. And State, I think, there's an opportunity there for him to come in and start. So it's a very intriguing receiver. I think one of the ones I'm most intrigued about that have come out in this transfer portal class so far. All right, guys, we'll cut it there. Thank you for joining. Again, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to us at Maroon and White Daily for all things Mississippi State sports. There's still a ton going on. Junior Day visits just happened. Paul's got some Junior Day stories coming in. We always have our thoughts on the message board and stuff that you don't get everywhere right there on that message board on 3. And we have information coming in from members that are well-connected, the most well-connected group of members I've been around. So you want to come check us out there. You can sign up today, maroonandwhitedaily.com. So appreciate y'all checking in tonight. We're going to check out for the night, and we will see you at some point this week. We'll have a reaction video or something of the nature, and then we'll likely be back next week for another Talkin Dawgs. So with that said, hope you guys have a great one.